Okay, folks, here we are again. Back to painting more gray tanks. Gray tanks. All right. We need to clean up some of this shit around here. Well, we don't have a phone camera that's plugged in, so that's not a good sign. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know how long I'm going to be on here because I'm a little on the tired side, but if I don't make an effort to paint this, then they're not going to get done. They're not going to get done. They're not going to paint themselves. Move these things that have encroached my work area. One base left. Now, one thing that was kind of interesting, to put this back with the, I need to still glue the pieces on that. One thing that was interesting about putting the tanks on the base, normally the ones I've done these in the past, I have pretty much done it about 3 hours later, 4 hours later, maybe overnight. I had put the goop on these probably a week, maybe even older than a week. And man, this was a lot harder to get up. It wasn't, it wasn't as easy as it always is. So that presented a little bit of a challenge, but nothing that was a big deal. It was just kind of like, that's kind of strange. Okay, so we need to cut this off here. I need to do this on another material that doesn't give. Let's cut this out. Doesn't allow it to flex would probably be the correct terminology. Okay, we'll leave these little toe hooks out. These little hooks, which I don't think I'm going to install them. That's a bit fiddly, and something none of the other models have, so I don't want them to look out of place. We'll just trim this up and then we'll super glue this on the Panzer 3J. Anyhow, we did get 2 Panzer 3s and a Panzer 4 short barrel done today, completely with bases. Okay, there's one of them. So one thing I need to do is get more X-Acto knife blades. Guess I should just Amazon them, but I could end up getting some knockoff ones then. All right. Yeah, we're gonna need this, and let's not even. They are installed. Okay, cool. Good evening, Nordic. Well, it's getting pretty good. I got the 2 Panzer 3Fs and the 4 F1 done. But I'm pretty tired. I don't know how long I'll make it. I'll probably make it longer now that you're there. Because you keep the interaction going, so. And that's why I do this. Otherwise, I could just not film it. Man, this is fiddly. Well, you know, it's always helpful. It's always helpful. Okay. Gonna let that dry, and we can't do anything until we can spray black. Well, I'm not getting to be a big fan of that. Weather is 2 more days is 70 degrees, and the weather falls off the cliff into the 50s. Excellent. Excellent. I wish it was in the 50s. It's kind of hot today. Went to an outside venue here where there was a bunch of local bands and nobody I've ever heard of, and got food trucks and everything, and we got run out of there by mosquitoes. The mosquitoes were bad. When they're messing with me, you know they're bad, because usually my wife will have them all over her and they won't even touch me. Did that, came back, showered, ready to go. Voice is coming slowly, still feel sick, willing to wager I have a sinus infection. Not better than Monday, I'll have to get over to the doctors for antibiotics. Man, they hold on to those antibiotics like a freaking gold bars, man. They claim, well, if they were over the counter, people would over medicate and then they wouldn't work. Or they create a terrible virus. Whatever. I just want to get better. If I have a way of getting better and not waiting from Monday through Friday, I'm going to do it. Okay, I did get this stuff to crinkle. I'd used this for so little, I'd waited so long that I actually crinkled all the way up. But zero mold. So whatever modifications they made to this to keep it from being moldy, it worked. All right, so what we're going to work on is the 2 Panzer 4 F2s. This one I did put the decals on it. These are some white decals I found from a Fujimi Mark IV J that I have. And normally I do not like putting them over the periscope slots, the side vision things here in the turret. Here's that drunk tank you liked so much, but it's so poorly molded that I decided to do it anyways. I didn't want to use up another set of small numbers, so this is going to have the big numbers on it. We're just going to pick some details out so that they stand out, and yeah, and then just roll with it. Let's start off by getting, I don't think I need Panzer gray. There's the Luftwaffe uniform blue, and dark sand should do it. Shit. But yeah, I finished those 3 tanks, and I'm really happy with how they turned out. I like how they turned out. They meet my expectations, which sometimes is difficult to do if you're a creative person. Did they make a change to the paper or the container itself, or both? Both. The material's different. The paper's weird. The paper is almost slippery like. The other one is almost, imagine like a fibrous bamboo. It has that kind of feeling, the original one of it. And this one is like, remember when you were in school and you had to do those projects and you got the poster board, right? One side is fun to write on, feels like this. And the other is slick. This is like the slick one. The old one is like this. So the good thing about this one is it's not slick. It feels right, but the fibers can come off. This one has less issues with the fibers. So it's definitely an improvement. Definitely an improvement. Had lower expectations on my miniatures. Otherwise, I'd be buried under a collection of miniatures that are not painted. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta. And I know I'm my worst critic, so if I can make myself happy with how they turned out, that's good enough for me. And if you hear lots of talking in the background, well, that's a house full of teenage girls. It happens. It happens. So yeah, there's actually a couple things World War II related. I found out there was a Stalingrad movie from about 2016 that I have not seen. I don't know how good it is. I think it's a Russian production, but the main character, at least on the German side, from what I can tell, is a captain that is played by the same actor who played the lieutenant in the 1993 Stalingrad film, the German one, which I'm sure you've seen. And then I came across another movie that's on YouTube. I don't think it's very good, but it's a low budget thing, and it's called Eastern Front Point of No Return or something like that. If you look up Eastern Front 2020 or whatever, it's on there. It's on YouTube. You can watch it for free. And it's kind of strange in that there's no subtitles, but everybody speaks English. So it's from the German viewpoint. And there is one spoiler in it, which I'm going to have to spoil for you, which isn't really a spoiler, but actually something in that movie that actually kind of disturbed me. And so it's from the viewpoint of this Eastern Front, which is, I think it's only like 2 years old. It's really similar in style to the, what's the series of that movie, of those movies, that there's 3 of them? That's the Mormon movies. the Mormon World War II movies. My brothers in arms. Saints and Soldiers. It's similar to Saints and Soldiers in that there's some weapons and there's some things that are, are nice that they've spent money on, but then there's some things that just aren't. But it follows about 7 Germans and a couple of captured, 3 captured, 3 women in it that are either Russian or Ukrainian in it, and it's kind of low budget. But one thing that's interesting, and I usually I don't get affected by things in warfare because I've seen it so much. Maybe I'm desensitized to it. But there's this one scene where one of the characters that ends up being one of the Russian women that ends up being captured by this German squad. It goes kind of in her backstory. She's carrying this baby, and she's fairly attractive too. And she's carrying this baby. I don't know what the hell the guy that got her pregnant is at, but this baby was probably, I don't know, call it a year and a half old, and she's carrying him down this road or this path, and here comes a Jeep with 4 SS guys, and one of the guys says, "Oh, let's go have some fun," and they go and the baby starts crying, and the SS guy goes, "Let me look at your baby," and he's like, "Make the baby stop crying or else," and the baby being a baby just keeps crying, and he takes out a pistol and shoots it right there, and I'm like, and it didn't even show anything graphic, but it disturbed me. It disturbed me that I just don't believe in hurting kids, Yeah, I just don't believe in hurting kids, even if they're, Now, if the kid's got a bomb strapped to you and he's rushing at you, yeah, mow him down. But, a baby, I don't know. I wouldn't make a good SS guy, I guess. That's a good thing. I'm not doing any SS guys. Of course it was the SS. Yeah, fuck those guys. This guy was like a fat SS guy. He was like a reenactor. Nobody was in the SS that weighed, 310 pounds. Unless your last name was Gary. And even he wasn't in the SS. But I was getting my oil change this morning, and I watched about half of it. So I got to get back to it. All the Germans speak with an English accent except the main guy, not the main guy, but the head leader, who's a lieutenant, who looks a lot like Eric Bana. A lot like Eric Bana. And he sounds totally American, and it's distracting, The U.S. Army did that a lot with the Native Americans in the late 1800s. Kill their babies? Just like that? For no reason? Well, that's not good. Children are cute. Like, baby, like under 2 years old. Like, they're all cute. I don't care what color or what their eyes look like or... Mongols grow up to be, Mongol babies are cute. Old Herman may have been fat, but he was a World War I, so I say he earned the right to be a jolly fat man. Yeah. How much of him being the way he is was due to an opioid addiction? I wonder. Every time I see him, I think, oh, it's Liberace, because he's Liberace-ish. In a way. Light blue uniform. Yeah, I want to see that Stalingrad Russian movie. Looks like it's got some decent action sequences. That's all. That's the only reason I want to see it. I mean, I'm not gonna learn my history from a movie. You know, I'm way past that point. I was in the middle of doing this at some point, and then I had to go on my trip to. I had to go to the concert, so that's why I stopped working on this. And I remember, oh, I still need to do this. And we are going to need a little bit of Panzergrau. Any good point? You'd think he should have been tried for crimes against humanity. Goring, that is. He did. He did get tried for crimes against humanity. He took his life. Yeah, absolutely. I kind of have a different opinion of the Germans than I did when I was a kid. You know, when I was a kid, I mean, I always knew they were the bad guys, but you know, it's they kind of got screwed out of the First World War. So I get it. I get that. You know, they're doing some payback. But you know, the more and more I read about it recently, I'm like, you know, there's this thing that you know, when we were kids and we were war gamers, we're like, you know, the Germans could have. Even my dad. I remember my dad who was. My dad would have been old enough to be in the Second World War if he had been born in the correct country, the country he was born in, but didn't go to war. So, but he was old then. I remember him saying, you know, that all the Germans had to do, not that he thought the Germans were the good guys or anything, but all they had to do was just befriend the Russians, and it's in the bag. And I kind of grew up, you know, thinking the same thing. All the books I read, and then the stuff I'm reading recently, it's like that just wasn't even. That's not even that. That's not even possible because it was a war of annihilation. It'd be like you know if they would never have accepted these subhumans to help them out, you know. But from a pragmatic standpoint, it's like you know you can do whatever you want with these subhumans after you've won the war, you know, but it just didn't, you know, it's not a war of liberation. It's a war of extermination. And when you realize that, it's like, well, they couldn't have won then, you know, which is a good thing they didn't win because, you know, the world turned out, it would have turned out a lot worse if the Russians would have gotten beaten. There's no doubt about it. Hey, what's up, Justin? Back to the Future marathon. You know, I've never seen the third one. And the first movie is one of my favorite movies. Am I gonna paint the? Oh, I'm gonna leave it paintless. This whole thing, yeah, we're not fucking around with that. Nah. But I just finished reading a book on Kiev. It's called Kiev 41. And it's interesting, all of these books that I have read in the last, you know, recently, they're all about the Eastern Front. And they all kind of have this different take that when I stopped reading it, it was about, you know, the Germans got beat because of the weather. And that ain't the case. It just seems like I know one guy makes a point, it's all about fuel. And then this guy that I'm reading now seems to be, well, it's fuel and logistics and spare parts and shit. They were just overextended. And, you know, this myth that the Germans are somehow really competent at things and it just doesn't seem to be true. You know, I know that was English, but I have no idea what you just typed. I got go high going. Well, when you say it in a Chinese accent, sometimes those things make a lot more sense. I got a go high going. I bet you have a good high going. You should try building something under the influence. See, I don't care what you do because I don't have to smell it from where I'm at. So, I mean, I don't want to do any of those drugs, but if you want to do them, go right ahead. It does not irritate my libertarian sensibilities. I just don't want to smell it. So, I get annoyed if I go to the beach and I'm downwind from those people. It's like, man, have some respect. It'd be like if somebody had like explosive diarrhea and was farting all the time. You're like, oh, it's a free world. Yeah, well, I don't have to smell your ass, dude. You know? So, I believe in live and let live. You want to smoke pot? Well, I want to carry a gun everywhere. What, you know? Neither one of us are going to hurt anybody. All right, I need to get some of the core color because I need to repaint this thing. Oh, don't be blowing on me. I'm looking for, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for my new friend, which is this now. It's Flow Aid. I'm not going to use the Vallejo airbrush thinner. It's doing weird stuff. It's like clumping up the paint. Now, all of a sudden. You do build when you're high sometimes. Yeah, don't use super glue. You might get things stuck to certain things. Try building when you're low. I prefer drinking when I'm low. Like I like to say, I like to talk about drinking more than actually drinking. How long have I had the Vallejo Flow Improver? Probably 3 years, maybe 4 years. A little bit longer than the Vallejo. I ended up getting it for was it for the Magic? Was it for the Jesus Juice, which is the that's what this one guy called the stuff to run through the airbrush. I think it was. Hey, I have it. I found a use for it. It's just more useful than running water. Now, it's funny because the proportion it says to use is mix 1 part Flow Aid to 20 parts water. Like, that's like hardly at all. So, I just use it as a moistener and it seems to work pretty well. Okay, there's almost like a little armored part of that machine gun that I had painted gunmetal. I don't need that. And I wasn't going to drill out this. I was just going to paint the end like there is a muzzle brake there. Like there's a hole that runs through it. So we'll wait and paint that until we're done with everything else. Okay, I think the turret is good for detail on there. Oh, I got one spot here that might look a little better. Lager beer versus Pilsner beer. I like them both. Bourbon, I'd rather have scotch. I don't do well with sweet stuff. I drink bourbon. I drink them all. I mean, hell, I had vodka straight. Vodka neat, I should say. I like them all. I'm not a fan of IPAs because of the finish of the IPA. It's just too like, it's like drinking gin. It's too dry. Taking over for Wayne. Yeah, where is he? No, Wayne's not the bad joke. Yeah, Wayne is kind of the bad joke guy. How does Batman's mother call him to dinner? I don't know. Batman doesn't have a mother, remember? She's dead in the ground.
She done been dead. She done died. She done be dead.
All right, let's pick out some of these details here. Dinner. Oh, come on, man. KWA, Karens with attitudes is what happened. Karens with attitudes. Is that what happened with the jokes, that you can't joke about stuff that I find funny anymore? My brother said it happened somewhere around 2008. That you can't tell the kind of jokes that, well, I can still tell them. That people don't like to say the kind of jokes that you used to say before. Like, I love ethnic humor. It's my favorite humor. You know, now it's like the only thing people joke about is like really rude, raw sexual stuff. And it's funny for a little while, but it's like, it's just crude. It's just crude for the sake of being crude. It doesn't offend me. It just doesn't have, you know, it's just, that's not what I find funny. Oddly enough, you never met a Karen you liked. Someone named Karen? I think I've only met one person. I didn't dislike her. I was just kind of ambivalent. A German, a Frenchman, and an Irishman walk into a bar and each order a shot of whiskey. The whiskey arrives with a dead fly in each glass. Oh, it's going to be a Kevin joke where we're going to miss one of the lines in there and we'll all be confused. The Frenchman looks at the dead fly and says, "Sir, I cannot drink this." Careful, somebody's going to get offended that I make a French accent. Hey, I do accents. If you don't like it, then you're in the wrong freaking place. I do Japanese accents. I don't hate the Japanese. Not unless they're trying to freaking crash on my ship I'm on. You fuck up now. But the idea that we can't do that anymore? Whatever, man. People need some thicker skin. Things were a lot better when we could all laugh at each other. Okay. The German looks at the dead fly and tosses out his glass and downs the shot. The Irishman looks at the dead fly, picks it up and shouts, "Spit it out, spit it out, spit it out." Yeah, I think I've heard that one before. I had a friend of mine who absolutely hated anything absolutely French at all. but yet he didn't know any French people. This country is going to be like France. This country will be like France. This country will be like France. Like France was like a major power, and they're the way they are because they're kind of resentful that they're not in that role anymore, and we'll eventually be in the same role where we'll be some second-rate power. Let's just hope China's not the first-rate power. But there's decent people everywhere, just about everywhere. There we go. I want to know who Biff pissed off to have crashed his car into a manure truck twice. Is it twice? Maybe the second time's another movie. I've seen the first movie, obviously. I saw the first movie when it came out on the movie theater, which is funny because two of my favorite movies from the 80s, and maybe of all time, is that one. I think Back to the Future is a great plot. And so is Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I saw them both in a movie theater. And when I was a kid, I didn't go see every movie, so that was just lucky the Irish. I threw an Italian against the wall and it went whop. Second time was in the second movie, the space one. I've seen the space one once, the future one. I've not seen the western one, which is crazy because I think the first movie's great. I think the first movie is a great movie. So, yeah, I haven't tried not to watch them. It's just things happen. I'd say my favorite 80s movie is Transformers, the movie. Either that or The Goonies. The Goonies doesn't do it for me. I don't know why that movie has the following that it has. But here's a good topic for you. Movies I'm not even going to limit it to the 80s. Movies that seem to have a really big following, but you don't like. And I wouldn't say I don't like the Goonies, but it's just, I just don't see what the. So what's some movies that everybody's like, goes gaga over, and you're like, what the F is this all about? Preferably older movies. I'll be right back. Think on that, and I'll be right back. Okay, let's see what everybody said here. Well, 2 viewers, so. The last Star Wars trilogy. Okay, but that doesn't count because there's lots of people that dislike that shit. Like everybody my age doesn't like the last Star Wars trilogy. I remember we were really excited to watch the prequels, and at the time, the prequels were not well received by people of my generation, but they're awesome compared to the new Star Wars movies. The Avengers movies. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I'm okay with one superhero and maybe like a superhero that's the bad guy too. But when you start adding all of these dysfunctional people, you know, yeah, I'm not a fan of it. She-Hulk ruined Marvel. She-Hulk. Who's She-Hulk? I don't know. Is there a Marvel movie that you like? Well, I like Deadpool because those are kind of by themselves, you know? The problem that Marvel has, the problem that most superhero movies have, is that the villain just isn't villainous enough. It's like a misunderstood guy or some like what happened to like people that were like freaking Nazis and were fucking bad and they did bad shit and you have to stop them. And you know what happened to that? Like, oh, it's just an angry school teacher or a stepmother or some shit like that. Like, you know, I can count superhero movies on one hand, maybe less than one hand, that have a villain worthy of being a villain. They just don't. They just have some lame ass excuse for a plot device, you know. Can't stand Ryan Reynolds, so I refuse to see Deadpool. Okay, well, if you don't like Ryan Reynolds, you don't want to see Deadpool. I like Ryan Reynolds, so yeah, yeah, I can see that. I wouldn't want to see it either if you have to deal with it. There's some people that you're just not gonna like, and you probably don't want to see a movie that's mostly about them. There's lots of people I don't like, and I'm not gonna argue with you. There's whatever reason you don't like them, that's fine. There's people I don't like, I can't stand Julia Roberts. I won't watch anything with Julia Roberts in it. Drives me crazy. Marvel needs to be R-rated. Okay. Last good one was Heath Ledger as the Joker in Dark Knight. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about him. I don't dislike him. I just don't. I want Batman with guns. I want an armored ninja. There was one of the movies. Was it Batman versus Superman? One of those that had a dream sequence where I thought it was real. It was freaking Batman with his, because Batman's a fucking ninja, right? He's a trained ninja, and in his armored suit. Okay, that's 2 wins with firearms. 3 wins, man. Knocks it right out of the park. You know? And a vigilante. None of this, well, we'll take you into, and we keep fighting. No, he's freaking bad. You eliminate him by whatever means you have, and you move on. But he's above the law. Well, the law doesn't freaking work. So, But yeah, just about all of them have some lame ass villain. And they just have movies after movies. What are you gonna have? Iron Man 17. Like, come on, man. Like, one was enough. There are some R-rated Marvels. The little shows. I actually liked Luke Cage. Of all the shows, that was my favorite one, except, again, shitty villain. But at least they make him likable. I like that one. And I would have liked the Punisher, too, if they would have cast somebody else. I don't like whatever his name is. I didn't mind the Punisher movie, the one that came out in 2005, which was the first rated R movie my daughter saw. Iron Man 17. Iron Man gets more iron. Above the law. I am the law, to quote Judge Dredd. Never seen it. Never seen it. The movie that I want to see that I hadn't seen in a long time, except way back when, RoboCop. I remember when I saw RoboCop. I didn't see it in the movie theaters because I wasn't 17 at the time. I think it came out in 87. So I would have been 16 in 87. But I remember seeing it before 1990, and I'm thinking, this is some graphic effing stuff. And I like going back and revisiting things that I thought were whatever. And then you go back and watch them and like, really? This is what I thought was so great or so scary? Or I watched the original Halloween on Halloween. And when I was 10 years old, that movie scared the living shit out of me. But I'm like freaking 10 years old, I watched it now and I'm like, this is just not, not something I'm going to have problems sleeping, walking through the house in the dark kind of thing, But I did see a movie a couple nights ago. Was it last night? It might have been last night. It was last night or the night before. I told my daughter, do not watch this movie because I wanted to see it again. And it's a movie that I saw twice in the movie theater. And I don't know if there's another movie I've seen twice in a movie theater. There may be another one or whatever. But it was a movie that I liked a lot. And the cool thing about it is I forgot about half of the movie. I forgot all the details about the movie. Because it came out in 1990. I hadn't seen it, whatever. Misery. The old Stephen King movie, Misery. I thought it was great. I watched it again. I thought it was a great movie. Not a horror movie. Didn't have to be a horror movie. I'm not a horror movie person, watcher. I don't watch horror movies anyways. I thought it was excellent. You know, it's got James Caan in it. What's not to like? You know? Original Halloween's pretty good as the horror movies go. It just didn't scare me. Yeah, just didn't scare me. I've never seen any of the Friday the 13th movies. I've never seen any Freddy Krueger movies. I don't watch horror movies. You know, I've seen all the Saw movies. They're not horror movies. And then, you know, after you watch the first one, which is, in my opinion, an excellent movie, a captivatingly excellent movie with an excellent end. You know, you got to watch them all. Yeah, Misery's the one with James Caan. Yeah, it's more like a Hitchcock movie, honestly. It's definitely Hitchcockish. And of all the things that I've seen of Stephen King, which hasn't been very many, it's definitely the best one. Because I've seen, what's the one with Jack Nicholson, which is a colossal waste of time. I'm never going to get those 2 hours back. The Shining. What a colossal waste of time of a movie. And then the one that all the freaking machines come to life. What a colossal waste of time. I can't remember what it's called. Maximum Overdrive? Is that what it's called? From 1986? I remember it was 1986. What a colossal waste of time. Yeah, I thought Misery was excellent. But it's an old school kind of movie that's not really horror. It's kind of... That kind of a movie, there needs to be more of. That's the kind of movies I like. I like stuff like that. I like terrorist, counter-terrorist kind of shit. I like stuff like that. I like assassination type movies. God, what was that one that I've seen? Like, I've seen it 4 times now, and every time I watch it, I forget details, and it's like half of a new movie every time I watch it. Vantage Point. Vantage Point with Dennis Quaid. That was a great freaking movie. I love the way it's filmed. From like, I think it's excellent. I wish there was more shit like that. But that's a pain in the ass to freaking make. I can tell you already. That's the kind of stuff I like. Or the first half of This Is How It Ends. Not the second half. What a disappointment that was. Deja Vu with Denzel Washington's pretty good. The problem with John Wick is I just don't like him. And I understand he's a good guy in real life. And that's great because Hollywood needs more good guys in real life. He just has he has negative charisma. Now, he did all of his stunts, and I understand it's really good. And there's tons of it's the first movie, and even the second one's okay. There's tons of gunplay, which I'm a big fan of, and there's tons of he approaches the rooms and he uses corners and reloads and all that kind of stuff. That checks all the boxes. It's just he's the wrong guy. If they would have done somebody like that's just more likable, that I would like more. I don't dislike Keanu Reeves. He just has negative charisma, Mr. Greg, welcome. Deja Vu with Denzel Washington. I have not seen it. I think I've only seen 2 movies with Denzel Washington ever. One of them was A Manchurian Candidate, and the other one was Glory. And that's it. And I like Denzel Washington. I just haven't. I don't watch a ton of movies. You know, if I'm watching movies, I can't do this. I can't just have it on and just pretend to be watching it. I'm not programmed that way. Just like I can't read a book and listen to any have any noise in the room at all. I would just go like I'd keep rereading that same sentence over and over again. I would have loved that movie, The Village, had it not been spoiled by somebody. So I knew what was going to happen before I ever saw it. That would have really fucked with my head. Because I don't try reading ahead. I just enjoy the movie for what it is. I don't. If there's nothing to try to figure out, I don't try to figure it out. You know. You watch a ton of movies. I have not seen American Psycho. I heard a lot of people say it's good. It's not movies I can't, but I can paint and watch. So it's not that distracting to me. Can't read a book with noise going on. Yeah, I wish I could watch a movie with. I wish I could have it right here. And then my paint dries on my brush and all kinds of shit happens. Changing genre. You watched the new production of All Quiet on the Western Front when I said, what'd you think? What did you think? I watched it. I haven't seen 1917 yet. I was going to watch them back to back, but what did you think of All Quiet on the Western Front? I'll tell you what I didn't like about it. The guy that plays the negotiator, whoever the hell he is, and he's in one of the Marvel movies, and he's one of the supposed bad guys in one of the Marvel movies. That guy's lame. I don't like him. There, I said it. I don't like him. I thought the movie was... A lot of people I heard didn't like the movie because it didn't follow the book. Well, I'm not going to read the book. I watched the movie from the early 80s that had Ernest Borgnine in it and John Boy. And neither one of those two. Ernest Borgnine just does not make a good German, period. And I don't dislike the man. I just don't think he makes a good German. And so I didn't really care for that rendition, but I've only seen it once a long time ago. I liked it. I didn't like that it didn't really show any gas. And what else didn't I like? There wasn't a whole lot I didn't like. I think it did a really good job of just showing how freaking brutal it was. I think it did a good job of that. Would like to see a Band of Brothers, but a German side of view. Well, yeah. It's pretty good. I don't think I could do that because most of the time television is on background noise. 1917 is good. Das Boot movie is good. I've seen it twice. It's okay. See a video game series from the perspective of the Germans. I don't think you're going to see that. I just, I don't think you're going to see that. Band of Brothers from a German standpoint. If you haven't seen Generation War, I think Generation War is really good. I think it's really good and it's done really well. The Russian movies tend to... Every Russian movie I've seen seems to be like, oh, we're all just brothers and everything was great until the Nazis came and they were rat bastards and then we fought them back. Okay, I get the Nazis are rat bastards, but dude, shit wasn't great in Russia. Sorry. Shit hasn't been great in Russia for a long time. So I am buying that malarkey, okay? But the German movies tend to be like, the uber apologetic. I think Generation War strikes a really good balance. strikes a really, really good balance. It's modern. It's really well done. There's lots of characters. They all have things that they encounter with the war that they don't agree with, but they're not like, you know, F the fatherland. I mean, it's done really well. I was really impressed, you know. Battle seems very convincing. Also watched it with German and English subtitles. Oh yeah, I listened to it in German with English subtitles. Yeah. I liked it too. I don't know if I'd want to watch it again. There's some parts towards the middle of the movie that were just like, man, this movie's going to go on for a long time because what else are you going to do? Like the stuff that involved like the farm and shit was like boring. I was a little disappointed that the time you see flamethrowers is you get to see it used on the Germans, and that's not usually what you associate with. You associate the Germans are the ones that have the flamethrowers, but I'm glad they used those tanks instead of the standard British ones because those tanks were definitely cooler looking. The big French ones. Yeah, I liked it. I liked it. I still think it had some powerful. It had some powerful imagery. Definitely had some powerful imagery. I still think the movie with the best World War I action sequence is the Red Baron movie that came out maybe 10 years ago. That has some freaking awesome. The airplane fights in that are spectacularly good. The story is just kind of like, you know, guy doesn't have a whole lot of charisma for being the Red Baron or whatever. You don't really care what happens to him or anything, but man, the plane actions are freaking amazing. Second of series of Barbarians is now out. Yeah, well, I haven't finished the first one. I lost interest. But that happens with a lot of things. I'll start it, I'm like, ugh, I don't want to watch another episode of it. I haven't even watched the third season of Boys. I'm like 2.5 episodes in it or 3 episodes in it. I just can't. I just not interested in it anymore. And I loved season 1 and 2. I started getting all excited about watching Britannia. I know it's cheesy, but I like David Morrissey. He's in it. And I lost interest in that. Barbarians seemed to be pretty good. Got 3 or 4 episodes in and just kind of lost interest in it. I think I prefer movies to series because I could just like swallow it and move on, not be like, oh, we got another episode. Oh, we got another episode. Oh, we got another episode. I don't know anyone that I communicate with on a regular basis who's watching the Game of Thrones thing. The new one. So I don't watch it. That's the only reason I watched the first one. Everybody was watching it. Have rum in that Coke? Absolutely not. No. I have not a problem with alcohol, but it makes me sleepy. And that's a good way to get nothing done. Nope, it's just straight Coke. This one, no, this is a Panzer. This is the old Airfix Panzer IV, which I'm refixing this thing. This was a dog, and I put some chocolate camo on it. And don't go by what it looks like here, because I'm looking at it in the picture, it just looks all wrong. That's not what it looks like. But this thing will end up looking pretty good. But it's a dog model. It's got all kinds of wrong shit on it. The cupola is all wrong. It's got no sight device here on there, which I probably should paint one if I cared that much about it. It's just gonna look. I'm gonna put a before and after, and it's good. That's my goal. I bought this thing for $1. I bought this from somebody for $1. I figure it's worth $1. I've gotten probably $10 worth of enjoyment out of it, so that's a win for me. Yeah, let's see if we can't paint. If we can't paint one of these things on here and see what it looks like. If not, we'll just undo it. I'll buy that for $1. Hold on. I gotta make sure they deleted one. I think they kept the one on the right. The one on, when you're looking at it head on, it's the one on the right. Yep's got them both, right? That's correct. They kept the one on, they kept the one on this side. I guess it'd be the one on the port side. But yeah, I liked it too. I do not have a Brumbar. Have to go now and return to my Scythians. Okay. Enjoy the light horse. And lots of it. I do not have a Brumbar. I've never built a Brumbar. I'm not opposed to getting one. Just never built one. I plan on doing some stuff in Italy, and the Brumbars are in Italy. The problem with Italy is the German units are in Italy just are not well known, and they're kind of second tier stuff. Oh, that looks like shit. That looks like total shit. All right. We're just going to leave that how it is. F it. This isn't an IPMS convention. Yeah, I've never built a Brumbar. I've never built a Stormrooster Tiger or a Yag Tiger or a King Tiger, actually. It'd be cool looking. Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. Looks pretty cool. You know, it doesn't take a month to load it like a Stormrooster Tiger. It's just a 150 millimeter. That's not horrible. Loading time. Brumbar. Isn't that Grizzly Bear? Grizzly Bear is Brumbar. Isn't that what it means? You have 4 Brumbars from Flames of War. He just built a 135th Koenigstiger with full interior. Henschel or Porsche? I honestly like the way the Porsche turrets look better. Looks just sleeker. I know the Henschel one was better, but I'm a modeler. I don't give a shit if things are practical. I just want them to look cool. I just want them to look cool. We're impractical folks. We just want things to look cool. I don't know that I need to do that much more to this. So I really would like to weather this bastard. Yeah, I've never built a King Tiger. Henshaw Tour, okay. The interior had some fit issues, so I said screw it and sealed it up without some of the interior. Oh. I was watching a, let me think, where was it? Was it in Fort Benning? I think it was in Fort Benning, Georgia, where the chieftain goes over there. And he does like a quick walkthrough of all their vehicles. Man, a shitload of vehicles there. And they got some German vehicles, including a King Tiger, that they cut the side out so you could see like the stuff operating in it. And all that shit's not open to the public. They're gonna use it for training. Yes, but we're gonna train on a vehicle that's 70 fucking years old. Okay. You know, that would be something really cool for the public to see. But we don't have money for that. Okay, sure. Just freaking charge for the museum, man. Charge $50 a head or whatever. A lot of guys in the modern military, I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of guys that are in the modern military, they don't give a shit about tanks and stuff like that. I know one guy that he was in the Navy, and I asked him, I said, oh, okay, well, what were you on? What was on a carrier? I said, well, which one? And he told me which one. Oh, that's number so-and-so. I said, well, I ended up knowing, I had more interest in his freaking carrier that he was on than he did. And he was on it, you know? So anyhow, I think this is all the detailing I'm going to do on this thing. The last one, did I not dry brush one of them gloss? I did all three. I don't think I need to. I don't think I need to put the gloss coat. I'm going to put a flat coat over it. I already put the gloss coat over the spots where the decals are going to go. Let's weather this bastard. Let's weather this bastard. I want to get this guy done. I do not want to spray flat at night. We need to be able to see what we're doing really well so we don't overdo it. Just a fine misting on it. I went with somebody else when took to the Air Museum. And with this Air Museum, it was off the grid. Not really off the grid, but it's not the one that you think of, the Air and Science Museum in Washington, D.C. They have another one. Has some weird, demented, long-ass Eastern European name that nobody can pronounce. Some of you guys might know what it is. It's near Dulles. And I open it, and I go, and I'm like, oh, that's a this, and that's a that, and that, without the nameplate. And he's like, how do you know so much about planes? And I'm like, how do you not? You're the one that's in the military. I'm just a war gamer. But that's what's cool about wargaming is you get to learn about real shit that really existed, I think it's fascinating. I am not calling it quits. Absolutely not. Do you want me to? It's only 10, my friend. No, we are not calling it quits. Okay, we're going to get this, and we're going to get this. And And this thing's going to get an antenna, which we do afterwards. And it literally does not even have a hole for the antenna to go. So we'll build a little, and it's very rudimentary. What I've been doing is I've been taking a piece of sprue like this and chopping a very little bit out, just this tiny bit, and then gluing that in and then balancing the antenna straight on it. And that's good enough for me. I just want it to, you know, we're not going to win any model competitions here. No quits for you. That's right. Oh, we're good. You guys kept me excited. That's what we're here for. Getting things done. All right, where is this thing that I put away that I shouldn't have put away? It's this one, isn't it? Yeah. That we use for the dry brushing. Nope. Can't quit if I want to get things done. Doesn't work that way. I want to see what this chocolate brown looks like. I want to see what this chocolate brown looks like with the camo. A few hours left to win this bid. Someone had to bid me up a little. Bah. I hate dweebs that do that. I don't bid on something. I only snipe. And it's not because I don't want a big good deal. It's just I don't want to think that it's mine for freaking 8 days, and on the 9th day, somebody steals it from me. You know? So, I watch it, and I'll bid in the last 15 seconds, maybe 10 seconds, about what I'm willing to pay. And I'll either get it, or it's mine. I'm not trying to get a good deal. I don't want to have all these purposes, all these what's the correct terminology? These sugar plums dancing in my head, how I'm going to use and what I'm going to do with it. And at the last minute, some pencil dick takes it away from me. Life's too short. I don't need that. I don't need to have the idea that it's mine then. I know some people do it so they can't come back and get a better idea. I don't care about getting a good deal. That's yeah, that's exactly what I do, Nordic. Except I do it in the last 15 seconds. I said I don't want the rug being pulled out from under me. I can't deal with it. Pisses me off. It's just like another day at work without pay. Yeah, I know. What I will do with the items if I win, yeah, so be it. Yeah, I just can't deal with that. I'm glad you're able to. Well, I still haven't gotten the positive feedback for this tank that I've already built and finished it and paid for it. Well, they're not going to get any positive feedback either. Fuck them. I'm the guy buying it. That's today's phrase. Fuck them. I don't do shit like that. You know, people pay for something, I give them positive feedback. So yeah, I bought this tank. The guy's never given me paid for it immediately. Guy's never given me any feedback. Well, you won't get any feedback from me. Because on one hand, what am I going to do? Just give them feedback and hopefully I get it? Or send them some email. Hey, I'm thinking about getting you feedback, but I'm not going to give you any until... I'm like, no, I don't want to spend time doing either one of those two things. If you give it to me, you give it to me. But at the same time, I'm not giving it to you until you give it to me. Mexican standoff. Everybody's favorite game, Mexican standoff. And I've sold on eBay a lot more than I've bought. Think you're doing some selling on eBay. It's relatively simple. The problem is when you got to go to the damn post office. And that is just damn unsatisfying, to put it lightly. Well, I may not be able to make it long as I wanted to. I'm already yawning this much. But I'd like to get this done so that we can spray these things first thing. Yeah, I've been drinking caffeine all the time. This is where we're going to leave this thing until we paint this, we spray flat on it. So I think I'm gonna call it tonight. How long have we been on here? An hour and a half? Yeah. We'll be back on in the morning, 5 a.m. Well, I'll wake up at 5 a.m. and after I eat my breakfast and everything, we'll be on here. And yeah, we'll continue on. We've got the Hasegawa Panzer IV to do. Also doing the, try doing a jig like Hitler when France surrendered. That's the crazy thing. When you start in the morning, I'm going to bed. Yep. Yes, indeed. I am a morning person. Okay. Yeah, you guys need to see what this thing looked like beforehand. It was sad. It was very sad. But okay, we'll see you guys soon.